Hello and welcome back to Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. Here we are, trial day 2 for case 3. Okay, here we go. I probably should have stretched before starting the recording, but oh well. Maya looks exhausted, but I can't blame her.
Nick, I was thinking about all day yesterday. I never properly asked you to defend me, did I?
It doesn't matter. I'm on this case till the bitter end.
I know. That's why I wanted to officially ask you for your help.
You got it, Maya. Let's do this. We gotta wrap this up and get back home so you can make your dream show come true. The Steel Samurai versus the Plumed Punisher, right?
You bet. You look as if you did not sleep last night, barbed head. It is written all over your face. How can you expect to put up a respectable defense like that?
I'm all fired up and raring to go. I guess Maya's not the only one looking exhausted. Huh? Rafa doesn't seem in the best spirits herself.
Huh. Go ahead. Feign confidence now while you are still able. For I will see to it that your last rites are read to you on this day.
Guess it was just my imagination.
Ready, Nick?
Okay, Maya. Let's head on in. May 12. High Court of Kudain. Court is now in session. All rise! Now then, if everyone is ready. The defense is ready, Your Majesty. The prosecution is ready. Let us begin without further delay. Oh, no prayers this time, Prosecutor Sadmadi. I already offered my prayers for the latest victim during my visit to the crime scene. Being that the accused has already been found guilty of the first murder, let us hasten this trial so we may put the dead lawyer walking out of his misery. I could not agree more. In yesterday's trial, the accused was already found guilty of murdering the high priest. And today she will be tried for the murder of his disciple, Pure Zealot. Pray Zealot. Now then, Prosecutor Sadmadi, your opening statement if you would. Certainly. The accused has now slain 2 of the most devout clergymen in the Kurainism. Even the lowest level of hell, the hell of tickling, would not be punishing enough. Then, what terrible fate awaits her? Balgil Poken Hell, a realm of eternal agony. There she will suffer the endless punishment of Jaga by the Galun of Pulmoten. Furthermore, Guljama— Enough! My blood runs cold at the mere thought that such a terrible place exists. I was gonna ask for a translation, but on second thought, ignorance is bliss. Now then, please continue, minus the part about the terrible hell awaiting the accused. As you wish. The victim in this heinous crime was the high priest's disciple, Pure Zealot. He had been training under the high priest while living at the priest's home. I had met him a number of times, and he seemed like an earnest young man. How tragic that he met such a terrible end. The murder occurred at the Plaza of Devotion during the purification rite. It was a bold crime carried out while the plaza was full of the faithful deep in prayer. The war-barred dagger was found impaled in the victim's upper back. The stabbing caused a spinal cord injury that killed him instantly. That war-barred dagger, Lady Kira's weapon of choice. We have already established that the accused's prints were on the weapon. Incredibly damning evidence in itself.
No, I didn't do it.
Hold your tongue. Now, being that the accused Maya Fey is a serial killer, the prosecution believes that the death penalty is the only possible sentence. Would the defense care to respond? The accused is innocent and nothing can convince me otherwise. After all, the crime scene was packed with worshippers. How could my client possibly have committed the murder without a single witness? The accused's fingerprint on the murder weapon alone is enough to render a verdict. As such, I see no need to debate this any further.
But...
Well, once her benevolence conducts her seance, it will be clear for all to see. I think the seance is just going to be looking at the ground. Your Majesty, might I have a word? Is that why he's seen the seance and he's like, it's not going to help. But it'll help our case and not his. Is something the matter, Prosecutor Sadmadi? It is about the divination seance. Ooh! Your benevolence!
Stop right there, Prosecutor Sadmadi.
As you wish. Forgive me for overstepping my bounds. What was that all about?
Barbed Head, have you made peace with your fate? For this time, the divination seance will bring you to your knees.
I'm ready, and I accept your challenge. The only problem is I have no weapons at my disposal. I only hope is what we can glean from the seance, Fisher. And Rafer's insights. Very well. The divination seance, if you please, your benevolence.
Yes. Let us begin.
Take off her robes.
Nana.
Yep. And now we're going to watch the animation of the dance again. Which I'm okay with. I like the animation. And hear the voice.
O Holy Mother, we hold this divination seance in your name. Let the eyes of everyone here be clear and our ears be unstopped.
Am I doing that prayer right? Is that how you do it? It's hard.
O dance of devotion, guide the victim's soul to me, so that we may receive their final memories in the pool of souls.
Alright, here we go. I'm yawning because I'm extremely tired today. I got 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Oh, which I think is why I need to stretch so much today as well. This is quite a long animation to play several times. Especially several times in the same case, but, you know. I'm okay with it. It is a really cool animation, so... What, am I going to complain about it? No. I'm going to be happy about it. Oh, look how cool it is. I liked that specific move. I can't even replicate it, but she did a specific move where she like put her hands over her head but then flicked her hands back. And it was cool. Here we go. I bet it's just going to be him looking at the ground and then pain. But then we're going to hear things. We're going to hear like bells, you know, something like that. Is it no vision? I don't get it. Why wasn't there anything to see? Your benevolence! What in the world?
I was unable to invoke any sort of response. I called out to the spirit's name many times, but to no avail.
Just as I thought. Wait, what does he know that we don't? I had sought to confirm the contents of today's divination seance. After all, it is customary for the prosecutor to verify it beforehand. Come to think of it. I know. I know, the thing that was just said is... We don't need a flashback for the thing that was just said. And that is why I sought to stop her benevolence from performing it here. However, she insisted that it be done. She wished to try one more time here in the Hall of Justice. It would appear her benevolence is tired from her manifold duties.
I am not anything of the sort. The victim spirit will not answer my call, but I know not why. It is my sacred duty to convey the truth through my divination seance.
Rafa, what are we to do without a divination seance? I suppose I shall have to deliver the last rites without them. The prosecution has already taken that into account when preparing for today. I am fully capable of proving the accused's guilt with or without a divination seance. You never fail to impress, Prosecutor Sadbadi. This is bad. The divination seance was my one and only hope. Your Majesty, her benevolence said she isn't tired. So, shouldn't we try to find out why the divination seance failed?
Huh?
How curious, Mr. Wright. Why have you suddenly taken such a keen interest in the divination seance?
Yes, explain yourself. The divination seance is for shedding light on accused crimes. It is the Holy Mother's hammer of wrath that is ever poised to pound you into your grave. You should fear it, not plead for it.
I believe in my client. Plus, yesterday, somebody told me something that changed my mind. The divination seance was once thought of as just another piece of evidence. If we were to correctly interpret the visions through careful analysis, then they would lead us to the truth behind what really happened. And the truth will show that my client, Maya Fey, is innocent. The truth is, you don't have anything else to fall back on, huh, Nick? Maya, please, you're not helping.
How dare you? Huh! The voice of a minima is to be feared, not utilized by vile lawyers such as you.
Seances exact a heavy toll upon the royal priestess. It would be best not to burden her any further. Or does the defense feel that it can pose no counter-arguments without the seance? No, of course not. He saw right through me. I'll have to find a way to make the divination seance happen or we're toast. Well, since the divination seance is not possible at this time, I see no other choice. Let us proceed with the trial without the seance, as Prosecutor Sadmadi suggested. Thank you, Your Majesty.
Why, I'll not forget this bobbed head. Ha! This will not be the last time you see of me.
Now then, I will proceed by providing an outline of the case at hand. Very well. If the lead detective would please come to the stand, we may begin. Emma, my girl, where is she? There she is! Emma Skye. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mr. Wright. Detective Skye, I understand how you would wish to save the accused and the defense. They are your friends, after all, but you must let them go and move on. But... There is only one way to save them now. By giving their souls a chance to burn away the taint of their sins in the eternal flames. Oh, I can't do this. There's her food. Ah, no eating in the Sacred Hall of Justice.
Miss Skye. Yeah? Don't worry about me and Nick. You just do your job. I'm sure Nick will figure something out, eventually. Right. Thanks, Miss Fey.
Oh, so sweet. How very brave for a criminal with a tainted soul. Very well, Detective Skye. Please proceed.
Okay, I can do this. Let me start with an overview of the case.
Alright, here we go. Overview of the second murder. The latest victim was Pure Zealot. He had been training under the High Priest and living at his house for the past 2 years. The High Priest's widow, Believe in Me, had identified the victim's body. He may have been mistaken for a rebel and killed due to his connection to the High Priest. I see. Well, that certainly makes sense. Would the defense care to respond? I didn't spot any inconsistencies in her testimony so far, and I don't have any evidence in my arsenal. What am I gonna do now? Huh. What is it, Maya? I was just wondering about how the police actually looked into the Acolyte Zealot. Because it just might prove the key to is why the divination seance failed. What are you getting at? Well, it's just a hunch. Wait a second. During my investigation, Rafa told me about how the divination seance works. If I could figure out why it failed, maybe she could try it again. So is the divination seance same as calling to spirits in the other way? If so, we need to know his name. If we don't know his true name, then we wouldn't be able to call out to him. Okay, time to press him for some more information. So maybe he's lied to us about his name. His name is not actually Pure Zealot. His name might be... What would be the twist? Dirk? Dirk? Could his name be Dirk? I don't know. Latest victim was Pure Zealot. He had been training under the High Priest and living in his house. I'm going to the last one to press real quick. The High Priest's widow, Believe in Me, had identified the victim's body. He may have been mistaken for a rebel and killed due to his connection to the High Priest. Maya isn't that Lady Kira who's been going around capturing rebels. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright, but... That verdict was already handed down the previous trial. It is no longer a point of dispute, and I will not allow you to make it so. That's so difficult. So because she was declared guilty in the last trial, in the eyes of the law, everything that was said in the last trial by the prosecution is so. Like, that's evidence, essentially, because it has been proven. So it makes it so much harder for this case because there's all this stuff that has been quote-unquote proven by the previous trial just because we failed that one. Wow. No ifs, ands, and most of all, no buts. The accused was posing as Lady Kira, and she killed Acolyte Zealot because she mistakenly believed him to be a rebel. That's not true! I'm sorry. The verdict has already been read in that case. I have to assume that it's fact now. Ah! Maya, you mentioned that Emma's testimony might hold a clue as to why the seance failed. I did, but it's really just a hunch. That might mean there was a mistake made during the investigation. It would have been information that would impact the seance. Huh, what could it be? His victim was Pure Zealot. Maybe that's what's wrong. What kind of person was Acolyte Zealot? According to the neighbors and the others who knew him, he was a deeply devout youth. I too have heard his name mentioned as one who is a fervent practitioner. I suppose you might say he was a High Priest's star disciple. Alright, I'm just gonna save this real quick and pause. Huh. Okay. I suppose you might say he was a High Priest's star disciple. Furthermore, he had been training under the High Priest and living at his house for the past 2 years. 2 years? You sure about that? We took statements from the neighbors and the fellow monks. They all corroborated our initial findings. What about you, Maya? Well, when I first came here, I saw Zealot praying under the High Priest's instruction. I see. So the results of the police investigation seem to check out. The High Priest's widow, Believe in Me, had identified the victim's body. Was Mrs. In Me positive ID the only way you verified the identity of the victim? Huh? Well, no. We also checked the ID card he carried and the data on his family registry. But what? His personal information didn't match any of our public records we cross-referenced. Maybe that's why the divination seance failed.
I'm not sure what you mean, Mr. Wright.
Here's what I'm thinking. Pure Zealot is a fake name? The victim decided to hide his identity for some reason. In other words, he was using a fake name. The royal priestess used a deceased face and true name to summon their spirit.
Why, yes, that is indeed true.
If he was using a forged ID, and there is no mention of him in our public records, then he was likely an illegal immigrant. They are not uncommon here in Kurain. An illegal immigrant? Come to think of it, Rafa mentioned something about immigrants yesterday.
But if that's the case, we have no way of knowing who he really was. We have to proceed without holding a divination seance this time.
I had always thought that Acolyte Zealot was Kurain ease. Oh, how the High Priest must be lamenting his disciples' deception in the Twilight Realm. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think? Should we add this to the testimony? Absolutely. This is an important fact. Please add it to the testimony. It would seem to be a fact most inconvenient for the defense. But if you insist, Detective Sky, please add what you just said to the testimony.
Yes, Your Majesty. He was an illegal immigrant, so we don't know his real name.
Alright, well, let's see. Imson. I wonder if that's the name. There he is there. There's that. We don't know his true name. And a peach tattoo. Happy. Well, let's press it. Isn't there some way to track down his real name?
No, not if he was an illegal immigrant.
Have you actually confirmed that he was in Kurain illegally?
Well, we don't have any conclusive evidence. But there's also no evidence of him being a citizen of Kurain either.
Oh boy. Now what do we do?
What if there was a clue in the evidence you gathered?
That's probably our only hope at this point. If he really was an illegal immigrant, our proverbial goose is probably cooked. Alright, well, it's gonna need to be here somewhere. Let me save this again. It's gonna need to be on this statement. The only thing with a name on it is the Tome of Secrets. This doesn't have a name on it, right? That doesn't have anything interesting on it. That's just the blood. This doesn't have a name on it. I mean, this is the only thing with a name on it. Do we try it? I thought maybe we would have been like, but I mean, in my head, the reason I was so hesitant on doing that was because I know that we don't have any proof that this name is connected to him at all. Whether or not it is, like, that could be his name, but we don't have any proof that that the one name we have in our evidence is his name. I thought maybe there was a leap of logic that I wasn't seeing, but no, you don't. It looks like you don't leap yet. We have to find a clue to his real name. Huh. Is it something about his body? Let me look at his body again. There's a peach. He's got a peach on him. He's got a peach on him. There's the blood. During the feast. Man, I'm not sure. I wonder, is there any extra information here? Now I know why the divination seance failed, but... nothing's really changed. Yeah, which means we're in big trouble. If he really was an illegal immigrant, it's gonna be real hard to find out his real name. I guess our only choice is to give up on the whole divination seance thing. If only there was some way to find out the victim's real name. I know what they... I know that... I know that's what they're asking. But how do we find out his real name? How do we do that? I'm looking at my evidence. Okay. This is just a photo. This is just Dirk's law book. We know it's not this, but... Okay. Family photo. So they prepared food and ate it together. That's fine. I can't actually go back. My game's frozen. There we go. Okay. There's this. There's the flower. There's the dagger. The dagger doesn't have a name on it or anything. Is there anything he would have put his name on? That's just him dying. His scarf, his tattoo. Does his tattoo have a clue about his name? And the sanctum. Do not perform the rite. I know what you're planning, Lady Kira. Okay. It feels... Hang on. Okay, alright. Here's the theory. Only someone who is capable of entering the priest's home could have delivered this warning. And the only people who could have done that are his wife, Maya, and this guy. And if it's this guy, then that proves that he was Lady Kira. And if that's the case, perhaps that proves that the Tome of Secrets, but that doesn't prove that the... Like, that doesn't... I feel like I should try it, though. I want to try it. Damn it! Oh, damn it. Whenever I'm not playing Phoenix Wright games and just thinking about Phoenix Wright games, I always think, like, they've got to, like, I always think, I remember them being hard, but they're so easy. But they're not. I'm going to consult. Looks like you can't count on your bluffing skills to save your butt this time. Yeah, this is a tough one. Well, to me, there's something about this one statement that seems off. I know the statement. Yeah, it does sound a little strange, doesn't it? Thanks, Maya. I'll take another look at the evidence. You can always count on me. I know it's the statement. I know it's the statement. Yes, I get it. It's telling me to present on the statement. I know. He was an illegal immigrant, so we don't know his real name. Do I have proof that he wasn't an illegal immigrant? Like, is that Peach thing for some reason something? Like... Oh, cool, the ball's and you can see the ball in the background. The one that you put in the eye. That's awesome. I think that's the clue that we might have later. I've never noticed that. I don't know. This? It is this. Is it about the peach tattoo? Sorry, Detective Sky. But the police missed something important in their investigation. So did I, clearly. Huh? What are you talking about? The victim was undeniably a Kuranese native. Let me look at this again. Like, is the peach something? Like, did I miss what the peach means? And this crime scene photo proves it. It does? It's a little hard to see, but look closely. You'll see clear proof that the victim was Kuranese. Well, where? I don't see anything that would prove that. This proves that the victim was Kuranese. I mean, this is the only thing that stands out in the picture. Look at the tattoo right here. Why, that's a tattoo of a peach? I would like you all to think about the meaning of this tattoo. Oh, the victim really liked peaches? Well, peaches are a favorite delicacy here in Kurain. They happen to be a personal favorite of mine. The sweetness of their abundant nectars and the softness of their perfectly ripe flesh. They are a blessing from the Holy Mother herself. Nick, I've suddenly got a craving for peaches. After the trial, Maya. Right now we have bigger fish to fry. Unfortunately, that is not a tattoo of a peach. Huh? It is not a peach, you say? Then what is it? Take a closer look. Haven't you seen I didn't notice that. Haven't you seen something like that before? Namely, the tattoo on the High Priest's brow. Oh my! What? This mark is only borne by members of the Kuranist clergy. So that is what you believe it to be. But are they not utterly different shapes? Sure, they're shaped differently, but there's a reason for that. The victim had the peach-shaped tattoo inked over an existing tattoo for some reason. However, the dark red portion is exactly the same as the mark all Kuranist clergy bear. Hey, you're right. Until about 20 some odd years ago, everyone did get one, didn't they? I myself bear one on my right buttock. That is entirely too much information, Your Majesty. Information on everyone who enters the clergy is maintained at the temple. All we have to do is look up a monk with a mark in the same spot. I'm on it. I'll let you know if I get any hits. That will not be necessary if you seek information on the clergy. You have it all printed? I have it all right here. Oh my, you never cease to amaze. So, tell us, is there anyone who fits the bill? There is just one, and his name is Real Nemo. This is more of a fake name than Praise Zealot. Praise Zealot. Real Nemo. My name is Real Nemo. He became a monk 20 years ago. Man, she really just stands in the center of the courtroom, doesn't she? Is she floating? Then that must be the victim's real name. But why would he have to try to cover up his tattoo with another one? Yeah, there must have been some reason. Nick, that's not important right now. The important thing is we know his real name. You're right. And if we know his real name, we can do the divination seance. Your Majesty, now that we know the victim's real name, the divination seance might finally work. A lawyer who willingly seeks a seance. This is entirely unprecedented. You are but digging your own grave, Defense. We won't know that until we try. Sure, it's risky, but it's our only hope. Very well. Let the divination seance be held once more. Is it going to do the animation again? Oh my gosh. Twice in one trial? Is it really?
Why would a lawyer work so hard to see the divination seance be held once more. You are a fool, Barbed Head, and your foolishness shall yield no gratitude from me. For with the truth revealed by my insights, I shall gladly seek your demise.
Bring it on, princess. Because I will correctly interpret each and every one of your insights.
Huh. You will regret ever thinking you could use my sacred insights as evidence.
O Holy Mother, we hold this divination seance and let the owl dance so that we may...
There we go. At least it let me skip through those. Alright. Yeah. I love that animation. But twice in one trial? Come on. Come on. You know that's ridiculous. Gingo. Plumbed Punisher theme. Heavy. Heavy, heavy. Pain. Heavy. Ooh. So the Plumed Punisher theme was there, which could be the the keychain. The keychain that Maya has. But then why... But then that would prove that it would be Maya, if anything. Oh my! It is just as Mr. Wright surmised. Pray Zealot wasn't the victim's true name. And now at last we have seen the victim's final moments. But... all we could see was the ground. You seem terribly disappointed. I take it you did not find any fodder for one of your infamous turnabouts. Nah. I, on the other hand, have discovered something. Conclusive evidence that establishes the accused's guilt. You did? Ha 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 ha! A most surprising surprise attack. So tell me, Prosecutor Saad Mahdi, what is this conclusive evidence you have found? The Plumed Punisher theme song that the deceased heard. Please consider this item here. Yep, here we go. It was confiscated from the accused during her interrogation.
Hey, that's my Plume Punisher strap.
When you press the Magatama on the Plume Punisher's belt. Ah! But there was also that clock that played the Plume Punisher thing every hour. We have to remember that. It seems the accused had inadvertently pressed the button in the midst of their crime. This strap is an extremely rare item, is it not, Mrs. Faye? You better not break it. There's only one of those in the whole wide world. Maya, no! Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay.
It is just as I said. Your flights of fancy have come crashing down on you.
She sure seems to be enjoying this. Yeah, I've never seen her look so thrilled before either.
It is time to accept the fact that the divination seance is far more than mere evidence. It is the very truth that brings the hammer of justice down upon the accused.
That is as conclusive as evidence can get. Now then, if there are no further objections... I do have an objection. Slow down there, your majesty. At least let me make a counter-argument. What's this? Do you take issue with the divination seance? Oh, I have issues with it. I just don't know what they are yet. But that's never stopped me before. That's so true. The divination seance is not the absolute truth. It only becomes the truth after it's been interpreted correctly.
You do not know when you are beaten, do you, you foolish lawyer? I am the only one who speaks for the Mitama of the deceased. If you believe there to be errors in my insights, then let us see you prove it.
Okay. I'm nervous because I actually didn't see anything that like I saw things, but it's difficult.
The victim was offering up his prayers. It was the night of the rite. The pattern on the plaza's ground was visible in the darkness. Then, someone was there, and the theme to the plumed punisher filled the air. The accused had held the victim down and plunged her dagger into his upper back. The blade struck true, and in that instant he departed from this world. That is everything the deceased experienced in his final moments.
Her benevolence's insights have painted a detailed picture, both vivid and true. I didn't notice any holes there. As they stand now, these insights are really stacked against us. I'll just have to go over each and every one of the deceased sensations very carefully. Okay, straight away, I need to check something. Alright. Okay. So, that is the match that he was on. But also, it looks like the... It also looks like this. In fact, there's handprints there. So, that's where he could have been killed. That's where I reckon he was. That would explain the Plume Punisher clock. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is where he was killed. He was killed right here. Pushed up against this. And it just looks like he was praying. The victim was offering up his prayers. Gingil. What's Gingil? Wait. The smell of Gingil shouldn't still be there. Should it? Family photo was taken during the Feast of Blessings, where it's ceremonial to partake in dishes made with Gingil. These dishes were only prepared during the feast, which starts at noon on the day before the rite, must be finished by 3 PM on the same day. And when was he killed? May 10th, 4 to 5 AM. And when was the rite? The rite was May 10th. Yeah. Wait, yeah. So straight away. This smell.
Objection!
Was it really the night of the rite?
What do you mean? It could not be otherwise. The accused slew acolyte zealot after killing the high priest during the purification rite.
The only problem is the deceased spirit does not corroborate that.
What's this?
Take a good look at what the victim smelled. Do you see how it says Gingil? Acolyte zealot shouldn't have smelled any Gingil on the night of the rite. What do you mean? Let me back up my statement with some evidence for you. This should explain how the victim couldn't have smelled Gingil on the night of the rite. Not my statement, Belieb's statement. The high priest's wife, Belieb in me, told me about the Feast of Blessings. The feast includes a number of Gingil-based dishes, and they're only supposed to be served at a certain time of day before the rite. Why, I believe you're right. I'd completely forgotten about that. During the feast, the unique smell of Gingil pervades the entire kingdom. The fact that the victim smelled it means he was murdered between noon and 3 PM the day before the purification rite. Ooh, baby. This is some juicy stuff.
Huh. I am not so easily fooled. Did that autopsy report not make it clear? The estimated time of death was during the rite.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Alright, I told her about that yesterday. Forgive me, your benevolence, but the estimated time of death is just that, an estimate. Depending on the circumstances, it's possible for it to change.
What's this?
Like if a body was kept cold, the slowed rate of decay makes the death seem more recent. Oh, and it was freezing up there. Why, I believe I've heard something of the sort before. If it is as Mr. Wright claims, the estimated time of death in the autopsy will have to be revised. Good job, Felix.
Bobbed head, you blinded me with science.
Sorry, wait, what am I apologizing for?
No matter. The murder may have occurred in the afternoon hours the day before the rite. Nevertheless, the murder weapon with the accused's prints on it is incontrovertible evidence. I will now amend my inside to account for this new truth.
Okay.
The time of death has been corrected, leaving my insides infallible. Nick!
A change in the time of death is bound to cause some sort of inconsistency. If I had something that showed what it was like on that day, it could really help. I do have a newspaper. But does that... Okay, so this is May 9th, right? There was a thick white ice. So objection! This shouldn't be happening. The change in the date and time of the crime has caused a new inconsistency to surface.
What's this? Ah! You are making that irritating face again. Cease that at once.
Sorry, but this is a face I was born with. Now let's focus on what's important. What the victim saw in his final moments.
Do you have bats in the belfry, Bobbed Head? There is nothing to see. The ground at the plaza was all that entered the victim's eyes.
And that's what I find so strange. On the day before the riot, it should have been impossible to see that pattern on the ground. Impossible, you say? Do explain. This piece of evidence shows why the plaza's ground was not visible that day. This newspaper has an article that is tiny in size but huge in importance. It says that the ground was covered with thick white ice the day before the riot.
What? But...
The victim did not see so much as an ice cube on the ground. Exactly. And so we must ask, what was the victim looking at in his final moments?
If you have something to say, then say it.
The last thing the victim saw was not the ground at the Plaza of Devotion. This can only mean that he was killed elsewhere.
What?
What? What? What? Then where do you propose the victim was actually killed?
Yes, tell us where. Otherwise your argument is worthless.
About that... I hadn't got to that part yet. Any ideas, Maya?
Let me think.
I know where.
Well, it's somewhere green and shaggy, right?
Right, but where could that be?
What is it, Bobbed Head? Giving up already?
Not at all. Now, where have I seen something green and shaggy? This shows where the victim was killed. The secret hideout the rebels were using.
A rebel hideout? There was no such place anywhere on the floor of that chamber.
You're absolutely right. There's no place, on the floor anyway. Then what did the victim see in his final moments, if not the floor of the rebel hideout? This is what the victim saw in his final moments. The shaggy green surface on the victim saw was some moss-covered stone slabs. As you can see, there are two distinct hand-shaped impressions on the moss here. I believe the victim was killed while he stood there with his hands pressed against the slab. That does agree with the seance vision. However, one cannot definitely declare they are one and the same. I concur. There is no proof that a murder occurred in the rebel hideout.
Indeed. What evidence do you have of this?
I've already shown you the evidence. What do you mean? Please take a look at the second version of this photo I just showed you. You can see that I've drawn red marker on it. You can see the results of the luminol test I performed at the hideout. This is proof positive that someone had been bleeding in front of that stone slab. Is this true? This information has already been provided to the police. Detective Sky, to whom does this blood belong?
Well, we thought it was the high priest's blood that flowed in from the outside.
So we haven't tested it yet. Then you must do so at once.
Yes, your majesty.
It appears the police have finished testing the blood. Detective Sky, your report, please.
The blood found in the rebel hideout belongs to Pure Zealot, just like the defense claims.
Detective Sky, do you realize what your blunder has done to me? When this trial concludes, I want to see you in my prayer chamber. There, I will deliver a joyous sermon unto you for 8 hours straight.
I'm really sorry, but please anything but that. Nick, maybe, just maybe, this is the chance we've been waiting for.
Yep, it would seem so. I hate to do this to Emma, but...
Go for it. It's full speed ahead.
Alright, hold on. I'm gonna save this real quick. Okay, pause it so I can take a break. Okay, here we go. The victim was killed in the rebel hideout the day before the purification rite. Then, his body was moved to the Plaza of Devotion by someone we've yet to identify. So, when we thought we saw Acolyte Zealot praying during the rite, he was already dead.
Ah!
And that's not all. If he was killed at the inner sanctum, that would explain one more thing. And that would be? How the time of death was made to look later than it actually was. The proof of which was left behind at the sanctum. This points to how the time of death was made to appear later than it actually was. How the time of death was made to appear later than it actually was. Well, I didn't think of that. Well, because it was colder? Is that why? Um... I mean... How is it made to appear later than it actually was? With the dagger? Or just because of the scarf? Nope, I thought it would have been because of the scarf. Like, because they dragged him out and covered him up in the scarf. And then, yeah, okay, well, I guess either I'm too far ahead of myself, or I'm thinking too simplistically, or I'm thinking too complicated. Who knows? I blew that one. No, I believe someone did try to cover up the true time of death. This points to how it was made to appear later than it actually was. The dagger? Oh my gosh. Alright, I'm gonna try one more piece of evidence. And if it... I mean, regardless if it fails or not, I should go back to the main menu. But I need to at least see if whatever I present is right. Like, I'm thinking just because it's cold. But, like... Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Return to title. I thought then maybe that would present the part that says it's really cold, because I'm thinking, like they said, it's about the like the autopsy report. The bodies, they stay cold, and so I thought, like, because it was higher up, then that's why it would seem later. But stupid. How did they make it seem later than it actually was? Could be this. How do they make it seem later than it actually was? Man, it's difficult. Why is it so difficult? I mean, no. Come to punish the strap by having the sound? Nope. Oh my gosh. Why am I so dumb? Why am I so dumb? Why can't I get it? I'm so dumb. Incredibly so. Did I present just a picture of this? I mean, they made it seem later than it actually was by bringing it out later. That's all they did. But that doesn't help. Return to title. Yes. Yes. Come on, Jordan. Why can't you figure this out? A baby can figure this out. Whatever you're trying to figure out, a baby can do it. And you can't do it. You can't do what a baby can. I just realized I'm on the wrong... There we go. Oh my gosh, I've presented so many pieces of evidence, I'm just gonna get it by pure chance at this point. Okay, look, I've presented that, I've presented... I've presented that. Presented that, I've presented that, I've presented this. Newspaper? Nope! I'm just gonna have to present everything one at a time until I stumble across it, I guess, because my brain, for some reason, isn't figuring out what they're trying to get me to do here. I was so online with what Phoenix was saying as well. I was like, my thoughts were his. What is this? Why, these are photos of the intersectum? I'd like you to focus on this one. I did actually look at that and I thought, I had no idea what that was. This photo, this proof is right here in this photo. This is how the time of death was made to appear later than it really was. Was he put in snow? Do you see how the snow's been removed from this one spot only? That's because it was used to keep the victim's body cold. Oh my gosh. Oh, that makes sense. And that's why the time of death wasn't what it seemed.
The time was mistaken, and the place too. And just what do you believe that proves?
That my client is innocent.
Or what of her fingerprints on the dagger? And the plumed Punisher theme the victim heard? You have failed to address these two key pieces of evidence.
I see your point.
Wasn't this your big chance, Nick?
I'm really hoping that the difference in the location can validate either the weapon or the theme song. I can do the theme song.
Actually, that might be possible, at least for one of them.
Really?
What's this? You say you contradict our argument for a key piece of evidence? Very well, let us see you try.
Nick, take a good look at the rebel hideout photo. I know! Don't give me too many hints. The defense can invalidate this piece of evidence. The plumed Punisher theme.
The plumed Punisher theme? And how do you intend to support such a claim?
Since the murder happened in the rebel hideout, there's something there that played the theme song other than my client's strap. It wasn't the strap, is that true? The item that played the plumed Punisher theme song was this. Down, 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 down. This is the plumed Punisher alarm clock. I believe the victim heard its alarm go off.
What proof do you have that the alarm went off?
What proof do you have that it was my client's strap that played the theme song?
Do not twist the facts with your lawyerly wiles. Either way, the accused would still be guilty based off of her prints on the murder weapon. And here is what really happened.
Insight revised. Stood with his hands on the stone slab in the hideout. It was the afternoon of the day before the riot.
Though there have been some twists and turns, that is the truth of what happened.
I won't get anywhere until I can eliminate the dagger. Most impressive, your benevolence. I see no inconsistencies anywhere in the prosecution's case. No, there is one. What's this? You still claim there to be an inconsistency?
Try as you might, the outcome will always be the same.
Okay. Gingu, plumed Punisher theme. Heavy. Heavy. Pain. Hold on. Heavy. Is the heaviness like the door turning? And the door turning stabbed him with the statue? That'd be pretty cool. Alright. The theme to the plumed Punisher was there. Plunged her knife into the defense victim's neck. The blade struck true, and in that instant he departed from this world. Heavy, heavy, heavy. So what is that heavy? Like, I'm thinking it's the door turning, but... Pain. Okay. Heavy. Okay, that's a touch. Yeah, I was just making sure that was a touch and not a sound or a feel. Heavy. There's something about the heavy. I mean, well, what's heavy about Maya? Maya's not a heavy girl, is she? But this isn't what I'm supposed to be presenting. Uh-oh. Did I save it? I think I did, right? Pretty sure I did. Okay. I don't normally just present willy-nilly without saving it, so I'm pretty sure I saved it. Yeah, okay. was the afternoon of the day before the riot. Then someone was there, and the theme to the plume punisher filled the air. The accused plunged a knife into the defensive victim's neck. Okay. Huh.
Objection!
It's not that. I was trying to get at the fact that Maya's not heavy. So like, how could it be her? Like, someone being there, how could that be her? Because the evidence doesn't seem like someone walked up to her. It seemed like something crushed him. Heavy, 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 heavy. Pain. Defenseless victim's neck. I mean, he's not really defenseless. They're in a room full of weapons, right? In that instant, he departed from this world. Is it... I don't think this is it, but is it the fact that they're saying in that instant he departed from this world and yet he felt pain? Nope. It's all of this stuff is worth a try. It's all worth a shot. It's important to the Phoenix Wright experience to present every piece of evidence possible to any possible thing. Because you guys gotta figure out what the game's getting at. Sometimes you'll do it perfectly in quick succession, over and over again. Other times, you won't. It was the afternoon, the day before the riot. Someone was there. Is it something about the fact that there's a heavy touch and they're talking about the blade striking and it being in an instant, but they're not mentioning that? Nope. What could it be? What's wrong with me? Am I dumb? Why am I so dumb? Why am I so incredibly dumb? I can't be stuck on this forever. There's a smell of gingle. That makes sense. Plumed Punisher theme. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Pain. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I don't know. Sound of theme to the Plume Punisher filled the air. Is it the fact that that's the only sound he hears?
Objection!
Nope. Ah! Oh my gosh, I need to probably take a break to think about this. I need to think about it. I need to think about this game. What's the help button? Does that just teach you how to play? Yeah. I'm gonna have to think about this. So I was thinking, looking through it. This is heavy. There's something that pushed him against the thing. Didn't we test? Didn't we push against the stone slab and it was like flimsy? Is that what they're getting at? So do I have to be like I mean, nothing mentions the heavy, so do I have to just do it with him putting his hands on the stone slab? Is that what I have to do? I don't know what this proves though. I have no idea what this proves if this is the case. It is the case. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what this proves. The victim was originally thought to have been stabbed while bent over in prayer, but he was actually standing with his hands against the stone slab. So the question is, where did the sensation of something heavy come from? Yes, I see your point. Or is it just exactly what I was saying? Since the victim was standing, he couldn't have been held down. Okay, so it was what I was saying originally before I gave it some thought. So I gave it some thought, came back with the wrong solution that ended up being right. Then tell us, Mr. Wright, what was that heavy sensation felt by the victim? What caused the heavy sensation Zealot felt? Any thoughts, Maya? I agree that sense of heaviness seems important, but there's also the matter of Zealot's hands on the stone slab. Why were they even there? Could it be related to the cause of the heavy sensation? Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any answer for us? Of course. If I just envisioned the state Zealot was in when he was killed. The cause of the heaviness the victim felt was the falling stone slab? Oh, he was holding it up. He was holding it up. The only conceivable cause is the stone slab falling over, trapping the victim underneath. What? Oh! The stone slab came falling down on him, crushing him underneath. Right. That was the cause of the heavy sensation the victim felt. While your theory is impressive, you have overlooked a key fact. The victim was not crushed to death, rather he was stabbed. Oh yeah. Or do you claim that the dagger was plunged in after the slab had fallen on him? Plus, had the killer been behind the victim, they would have been both crushed together. Well, would you care to explain? Sure, I'd love to. That doesn't mean I can. How can the dagger have been plunged in after the slab fell on the victim? The killer couldn't have plunged a dagger into the victim after the slab fell on him. But what if the murder weapon wasn't what we thought it was? It's a statue. Well, well, there were other weapons in the rebel hideout. But the entrance to the hideout is right by the stone slab. There isn't enough space between the two to use any of the weapons found within. Yeah, there's not much space by the entrance, is there? So, what was the real murder weapon then? I better think of something. If the murder weapon wasn't the dagger, then the dagger must have been plunged into the victim after he was already dead. That means he was stabbed at least twice, but the autopsy doesn't mention that. Then he must have been stabbed in the spot with something shaped like the dagger. Would the defense care to offer an explanation sometime this century? Wait, wasn't there something dagger-like near the scene of the crime? There it is. Something that is shaped similar to the Warbard dagger. It doesn't have to give us this many clues. Sometimes I have no idea what Phoenix Wright is talking about. Sometimes it's super obvious. Present your evidence at this time, right? This shows what really killed the victim. I mean, what's got the, that has a picture of the thing in it. But so does that.
Take that.
The inner sanctum's diagram? You believe the murder weapon is somewhere in the sanctum? This is what really took Puree Zealot's life.
Take that.
But that is the
Warbard statue?
Exactly. The Warbard statue has dagger-like feathers protruding from it. This is what really took the victim's life. Oh, he's not happy. You imbecilic fool. The statue is outside of the hideout. How do you propose it impaled someone who was inside? Haven't you heard? The Warbard statue also functions as the hideout's door. What do you mean? The statue can pull a complete switcheroo. A switcheroo? To put it simply, it's a revolving door. A revolving door? Why, that makes perfect sense. Therefore, I believe the truth behind the divination statue to be this. As the victim entered the secret hideout, the stone sculpture came toppling down toward him. He threw up his hands to stop it, but its weight forced him backwards. Unfortunately, the Warbard statue was right behind him.
This cannot be! But the accused's fingerprints were found on the dagger.
She had held it while rehearsing for the rite. Which is when her prints got on it. Wow, it took this long for him to just say that. Gah. He could have said that any time. I thought I would have to prove that at some point. But nope. He just says it. This is a shocking turn of events, but there is a great deal of circumstantial evidence in the defense's favor. I believe we must accept that the Warbard statue was what killed the victim. The good thing is, I've just proved that every single one of your pieces of evidence is circumstantial. Now that we know that how Acolyte Zealot was really met his demise, there's no basis for claiming my client committed this crime.
Nice work, Nick. How can this be happening yet again? The divination seance is the only truth.
No, your benevolence. It's not the truth itself, but it is a mean for shedding light on the truth. Do you understand now? Your kingdom needs lawyers so that they can interpret your insights.
But that means I have been misinterpreting the voices of the spirits all this time.
That's a new sprite. Your benevolence? Are you unwell? Or the color is drained from your face?
I will be fine. Continue with your proceedings without me.
As you wish. I feel kind of bad for her. Yeah. Now then, I would have the defense continue. Please explain what you have learned now that we know how the victim actually died. Acolyte Zealot was killed in the hideout before the High Priest's murder. That means the body found at the plaza of the devotion was moved there by the real killer. But only after the Warbard dagger was thrust into him, to make it look like the murder weapon. That does seem to agree with what we now know. But why would the real killer go to such lengths? I believe stabbing Acolyte Zealot's body with the dagger and moving it to the plaza was... I think the last one, right? But I should save it. I should always save it before stuff like this to make it look like a serial murder. It was an attempt to make my client look like a serial killer. That's right. The real killer planned all of this. The Ford serial murder case. They did?
That's it, Nick. Keep hammering away.
Satura! Is that a real language?
Your reasoning has more holes in it than the cheese you foreigners so enjoy.
What?
Like those putrid hole-ridden clumps of curds that only a rat like you could love. Your reasoning, much like your putrid hole-ridden brain, has putrefied.
What's this deal with things going putrid?
You have yet to overturn my argument that the accused is the killer. A careful analysis of the chain of events up to the killing exposes the truth as follows. Disguised as Lady Kira, the accused found the rebel hideout the day before the riot. But Acolyte Zealot had followed her there, after noticing her suspicious behavior. Caught by surprise, she pushed a stone slab toward him, and we know the rest. I've never been to the rebel hideout in my life. When the high priest arrived at the sanctum the next day, he realized what she had done. And that is when the accused murdered him in order to silence him.
I believe Prosecutor Sadmati has posed a compelling scenario. The defense, on the other hand, has yet to disprove the accused's guilt. Why would my client move Acolyte Zealot's body to where everyone could see it? And why would she stab the dagger with her fingerprints into his dead body? She had no reason to do any of those things. The dagger in his corpse was likely a warning to the rebels. Something along the lines of, Lady Kira will slay the defiant dragons. So that is why she moved the body to the plaza for all to see.
Now here's the judge convinced too. I thought I'd finally made some headway.
Well, Mr. Wright, about time for one of your groans of distress, is it not?
Groans of distress? It kills me to admit this, but I've got nothing to counter his argument with. And I still haven't disproven the allegations against Maya.
Is it not time to end your futile struggle? You were already judged guilty yesterday. That makes you a dead lawyer walking. Accept the death that now awaits you, and in doing so, finally know peace.
A dead lawyer walking indeed. Then again, are not all lawyers who practice in Kudain? But I must admit, I misspoke earlier. Allow me to amend my statement. I had said the defense's reasoning had a putrid cheese-like smell. But I now realize the stench was from his own putrid body, on the verge of death. Now I'm a rotting zombie. Think, who could have killed Zealot the day before the riot? Who knew about the rebel hideout, and who could gain access to the inner sanctum? Only those involved with the riot can enter the sanctum, so... Wait a second. Only a rebel would have known about the secret hideout, and the only person who was involved in the riot had access to the sanctum, and was suspected of being a rebel is... Yeah, that's, the high priest himself, I reckon. Did someone come to mind? Yes, except there's one huge problem. A huge problem? He's dead. What are you two going on about? Plotting your escape from this sacred hole? I would not put it past you, considering you have no means to raise further objection. If I don't do something, Prosecutor Sadmati will have this one in the bag. I'll just have to bluff my way out of this, regardless of that huge problem. Your Majesty, I believe there is another suspect in Pure Zealot's murder. Hold on. Alright, cool.
Objection.
Even the most benevolent Holy Mother would not forgive such a desperate lie. After all, you know very well that such person does not exist. No, there is one person who knew everything.
Does such a figure truly exist? Tell us who might that be.
I believe the prime suspect in Acolyte Zealot's murder is...
Take that!
It had to be someone allowed to enter the sanctum, and who knew of the hideout. And that would be the High Priest.
He could have committed the crime if it occurred the day before the riot.
You would pin a crime upon the dead, knowing very well they tell no tales. Have you no shame? Dead men tell no tales.
That is definitely a problem. If only the High Priest could tell his side of the story. What? Do I have something on my face? Wait a second. Could this actually work? Oh no, don't tell me I have some of my breakfast caught between my teeth. No, if there's even the slightest possibility, I'll have to go with it. Are we gonna call him to the stand? Through Maya? That would be crazy. Your Majesty, dead men do tell tales. Therefore, I would like to request the High Priest's testimony. His testimony? And just how do you propose we get the deceased to testify? There's a way for the dead to testify. It's known as channeling. Summon him here by means of spirit channeling. What did you just say? Spirit channeling? Has this lawyer finally gone insane? This is sacrilege. May the Holy Mother strike him down. Peace. I am frankly astonished you even know of such a thing. But spirit channeling is a secret art that only Her Eminence Queen Garen can perform. And Her Eminence is far too busy with her other duties to perform it at our pleasure. And Her Eminence is far too busy with other duties to perform it at our pleasure. I suspected as much. That means our only hope is... Here we go. Here's the one. Hang on, I'm trying to do something real quick. Okay. I was just trying to stop some notifications from happening. Here we go. It's okay, Nick. You can tell him. Thank you, Maya. But Maya, I thought you wanted to keep it a secret here in Kudain. Don't worry. It's not like it's against the law or violate some religious precepts, so I don't think we'll be punished. At least I hope not. But this is a crucial period for you. It'll decide whether you become Master of Credain. We don't have any other choice now, do we? If I'm found guilty, it'll be a lot worse than not becoming Master of Credain. Alright. Thanks, Maya. Actually, there is someone here who is capable of channeling spirits. Satara! But even Her Benevolence Princess Rafa finds the divination seance to be a challenge. Who could possibly have greater spiritual power than she, aside from the Queen? That would be me. Is this some sort of joke? A foreigner could not possess such a power. Even the royal priestess is incapable of such a feat. Peace! Peace, I say! Is this true? Is the accursed capable of performing the secret art of spirit channeling? Well, yes. Yes, I can. Now, Your Majesty, we'd like your permission to begin. Oh, Rafe is not happy with this. Your Benevolence. This is an outrage. An outrage, I say. First, you make a mockery of the divination seance, and now spirit channeling? Her Benevolence speaks the truth. Spirit channeling is a sacred rite. Foreign devils, I say they should be put to death immediately. Still your voices. Barbed head, spirit channeling is the most sacred and secret of arts. Are you prepared to face the consequences of what you propose? Yes, I am. Your Benevolence, are you saying you approve of their use of spirit channeling? I will judge whether their claim is true. If this is but another of their lies, they shall be executed on the spot. Very well then. Your Benevolence? What if the accused accidentally calls forth an evil spirit? Do you truly believe this foreigner is capable of channeling spirits? Oh, no, but I wanted to be sure, as I am responsible for the safety of all present. Well, an inexperienced practitioner could inadvertently call forth a dangerous spirit. But do not fear, for I have a Magatama of Parting. With it, I can send spirits back to the Twilight Realm by halting the flow of spiritual power. That is a relief indeed. These foreigners have thrown down the gauntlet. Ha! Let us not shirk from their challenge. We must prove them guilty and deliver their last rites. Do I make myself clear, Prosecutor Sadmati? Perfectly, Your Benevolence. Very well. The accused may channel the High Priest's spirit. But first, we must take a short recess to prepare. We will resume as soon as the preparations are complete. Until then, this court is adjourned. Wow. Alright, well, we are going to be coming across the High Priest. We're going to have his testimony. That's very interesting. Yes, absolutely save the game. Yes. Yes. Oh, man. I love this game. High Court of Kudain. Accused Lobby. Sorry, Maya, but this was the only way. You sure you're up for this? Thanks for believing in me, Nick. Even though I don't know if my channeling ability's on point yet. Oh, right. Before she started training here, her success rate was only about 30%. I know you can do it, Maya. At least I hope she can. So, you sure you're ready? Yeah, at least I think so. You don't sound so confident. What about all your training? Training's one thing, actually doing it's another. Oh, I see. Uh-oh. If she fails to channel the High Priest, we're as good as dead. Relax, Nick. You can count on me. I'll show you what my training's done for me. This will be a moment you never forget. Okay. I just hope it's unforgettable in a good way. Once we hear Abbott and me's story, I'm sure the truth will come to light. I hope so. But he was hiding the fact that he was a rebel, so I doubt it'll be as cut and dried as that. I'm so curious what Abbott in me is going to look like in Maya's clothes. They are ready for you. Please return to the Hall of Justice at once. I forgot what the voice I gave that guy, but I think I gave him that. Like, a surprisingly high voice. Okay, Maya, I'm counting on you. You got it. Here we go. May 12th. High Court of Kudain. We have received official approval for the accused to channel a spirit here today. Now, if you will, Miss Faye, please proceed. Yes, Your Majesty. I can't believe this. Only the Queen should channel spirits. Execute them! Put them to death right now! Death! 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 Come on, Maya. I'm counting on you. She looks very calm. I'm proud of her. She's grown up so much. I've been studying here in Kurain for 2 years now. So that one day, I will be the master of Kurain, a village of spirits, spirit mediums back home. But first, I shall show you all the fruits of my training in your kingdom. Wow, she seems really confident.
Huh. A neophyte practitioner such as you could not possibly channel a spirit.
Okay, Your Benevolence. How about this? If I succeed, will you stop calling me a neophyte?
Very well. If you succeed.
Oh, I will. Just you watch. Oh, yes, cutscene. O spirit of trust in me, slumbering in the twilight realm, return now to the world of the living. Whoa, look at her determined face. Oh my gosh! I don't have a voice. Huh? What is this place? What is this place? What is this place? Huh? What is this place? Yeah, that seems right. Huh? What is this place? Okay, I just I paused it and I thought I accidentally paused the video and I didn't mean to. Oh my!
No, this cannot be.
Polkunka. It's the High Priest. The accused really can channel spirits. I don't believe it. the accused spiritual power is the real deal. This is interesting, because I feel like in previous games, it was established that even though we as viewers see the characters as what they're channeling, people looking at it, like people in the game actually looking at it, just saw Maya doing it. I thought that was the case. Maybe it's not? Oh well. Go Maya.
I do not understand. This cannot be. This simply cannot be. I must step out now before I forget myself.
Abatin me. Would this be the Twilight? I already forgot my voice for him. Would this be the Twilight realm? And what of this luxurious mane of hair? Is it perhaps a gift from the Holy Mother for decades of faithful service? Abatin me? My, but if it isn't his majesty, have you too shuffled off of that mortal coil? Please do not count me among the dead. It is only you who has passed on. But the spirit medium Maya Fey has brought you back among us today. Why, Acolyte Fey has mastered the secret art of spirit channeling. I suppose that explains these gorgeous locks. When I pass from this world, I too hope to be channeled with a full head of hair. Though it be for the briefest of moments. I give thanks for this splendid coiffure. Praise be to the Holy Mother. However, this kimono is a bit too snug for my tastes. If you would excuse me. Oh my gosh. There, that is better. Could we get to this testimony now? I wish he'd kept his top on. Huh? Why, you are that foreign lawyer that people speak of as of late. And this is not the whole of justice. And is this not the whole of justice? Why have I been summoned here? Forgive us for calling you back from your eternal rest. But you have been accused of murder. Might we ask you to testify on your own behalf? I have been accused of murder. That is troubling indeed. Ah! What's with that crazy pose? Is this really cause for such astonishment? Even the lowliest of monks can achieve such body control with proper training. Oh, I wonder if Albie will be able to do that someday. Will the defense please explain the situation to the High Priest? I'd be happy to. Your disciple, Pure Zealot, has been murdered. It happened on the day before the purification rite. And the crime occurred in the rebel hideout hidden within the inner sanctum. Acolyte Zealot? He has been killed? Who would do such a thing? Someone who knew of the hideout and had access to the inner sanctum. In other words, you, Abatin me. After all, weren't you secretly a rebel? Oh dear. That's still Maya's body. I hope he doesn't break anything. Wow, the High Priest is amazing. To think he has mastered such an advanced prayer pose. He's still worthy of our veneration even if he is a rebel. Praise be to the Holy Mother! Praise be to the Holy Mother! Oh my, have my rebel allegiances been exposed? Not even my wife knew of that. There we go, that answers my question. It seems to rest in peace is not my fate. Why did you, a devout priest of Kurainism, join the rebellion? The High Priest has come back to us for but a brief time, defense. Shall we not cut to the chase and ask the most pressing of questions? Oh, right. Abatin me, the prosecution believes you, the one who slew both you and Acolyte Zealot, to be Maya Fey, who had been playing the role of Lady Kira in the rite. Being that I was dead until just a moment ago. My memory is a bit hazy. Could you please do your best to remember?
Objection!
The High Priest says his memory is hazy. It is all coming back to me. It is as the prosecutor Sadmadi concluded. I was slain by none other than Maya Fey. The High Priest's statement has proven my assertions with regards to his murder correct. No! But what about Acolyte Zealot? You were the one who killed him, weren't you? I know naught about my disciple's murder. Furthermore, I have an alibi of my own. An alibi? Seriously? It seems the testimony the defense had been hoping for is working against him. Now, Abbot Inmee, your testimony, if you please. Yes, of course. Alright, I think I'll have to do the testimony next time because, firstly, this is a good little place to pause, and secondly, this guy's voice hurts my throat, and I should have chosen a simpler voice. Maybe I'll have a simpler voice next time I play, maybe I won't. Maybe it's just because I've been playing this game for like 3 hours, 3 or 4, maybe 4 hours straight right now, so I should take a break. I'll be back some other time.